Hello and welcome to another episode of Laptop Retrospective, and today I have a really cool ThinkPad for us to take a look at. This is actually the ThinkPad X61s, and this was kindly donated by Justin, and what a fantastic example of just probably one of the cutest ThinkPads, if I can use that word, just because of how compact this keyboard is, the layout, the 4x3 12-inch panel. It is just phenomenally compact. Like, that's the word. And if we take a look at the X200 here, because of the wider screen, we can actually see that there is a significant difference in terms of its width. So the X61s was launched between June of 2007 up until May of 2009. And the S, of course, stands for slim. This was considerably slimmer and lighter than the regular X61. This weighed in at only 1.35 kilograms with the standard battery and came with ultra-low voltage CPUs. The panel is a 12.1-inch 1024 by 768 TFT with ThinkLight up at the top. And the CPUs were Intel Core 2 Duo low voltage L7300, L7500, and L7700. And those were 1.4, 1.6, and 1.8 gigahertz CPUs, respectively. RAM on the inside was 8 gigabytes of DDR2. That's all you got. And you had a 2.5-inch hard disk drive, standard size bay. Now, just because it was slim doesn't mean that it had a whole bunch of things taken out necessarily. They just got a little bit clever with the materials and where they put things. So if we tour the ports and features, the first thing that you would probably notice, of course, before I close the lid, is that we have no trackpad. That was not a feature on these machines. We do have an optional fingerprint reader. No web camera was available for these, and I mentioned the ThinkLight earlier. That beautiful red track point just staring at the center, and these razor-thin bezels on the keyboard deck and smaller enter button just kind of show their desire to make this thing thin and compact. We do have speaker grills, microphones, and Bluetooth 2.0 was available on this as well. In terms of ports for the rest of the machine, let's go ahead and take a look. On this side here, we do have the CPU exhaust. We have a USB 2.0 port, VGA, network, and then right in here we do have the card bus type 2 slot. Beneath that we have a SD card reader as well. Along the front we do have a Wi-Fi kill switch just barely hidden out of sight right there. And then over on the right hand side we have the Kensington lock slot, the power connector, 56K modem, the place where we would extract the drive, a separate microphone and headphone combo jack, 2 additional USB 2.0 ports, and then FireWire. So we are not lacking on pretty much anything. On the bottom we do have a docking station, and this would be compatible with the X6 Ultra base. Now, as we disassemble this machine, it is worth noting on our batteries, they were cross-compatible with the X60s. This one here is the 4-cell 38 watt-hour, but an 8-cell extended 75 watt-hour was available, and a battery slice could also be installed on this as well, according to what I've read. So disassembly is pretty trivial. Removing the battery is one tab to pull over here, one tab to pull over there. Battery releases, and we can put that off to the side. After we've done that, we can take our trusty screwdriver, spin out the retaining screw for the hard disk drive cover. That particular screw is not captive. The little cover comes off, and just as we expect, a pull tab, and we've got an SSD upgraded in there as well. Moving along to the next trapdoor that we have on the bottom of the machine, we can spin out these 2 screws, and I suspect this is going to reveal our RAM, and I am not disappointed. Now, interestingly enough, we do have RAM But we also have this fellow here, and it looks like a kind of card or chip would go in there, and I'm not sure if that is some LTE connection or if that's something completely different. If you'd be able to confirm in the comments what that is, I'd be very curious to know, because it's kind of cool. We do have 2 gigabytes of DDR2 PC2 5300S style of RAM staring us in the face, and it's been in there for quite some time if the stickers are anything to go by. To disassemble the rest of the machine, we are going to need to remove all of the screws with the palm rest and keyboard pictograms, and they are very easy to read, even on a machine of this age. The dies have aged quite well. So we're just going to go and spin all these screws out. Thankfully, all the screws are the same length. We'll open the machine back up, turn it around, and whether or not the keyboard or the palm rest comes first on this, it's probably the palm rest. Now the palm rest is all one integrated piece, it's not 2 pieces. And this keyboard is just fitting really tight, but it does come out first. And the ribbon is quite generous in terms of its length, so we can pop that out, like so. And just taking a quick peek, underneath the palm rest there is your Wi-Fi and modem and all of your other cards. You can probably just see them under there. And then of course the cage for the card bus. So just because I don't want to break this, I'm going to leave that section where it is. We can see the CMOS battery, and everything else is more or less staring at us that we would need to service. We've got our power connector over here, which is modular, and the cable runs in along here, plugs in. Pretty standard stuff. All good things that we want to see in a durable little device. So really easy to service, great classic ThinkPad keyboard. Let's go ahead and put it back together and see what it's like to use. Let's go ahead and turn this on and see what we get for a boot time using an SSD and a whopping 2 gigs of RAM. Now these older panels tend to warm up as they start, and because this is an older machine, I am running a Linux install on it, mainly because I might actually want to take this online and just write on it or use it around the house, and I want to make sure I have a secure operating system that's going to let me do that safely. So that was the reason why I've done that rather than restore it to factory spec. Because come on, look at this keyboard, 4x3, really fun little machine to still potentially use for the most casual of tasks. And as you can see, boot time isn't exceptionally terrible given the specifications that are in it. You could easily up that RAM to get a much better performing machine, no questions. And then of course, just the refresh rate is going to cause the screen to flicker based on what the camera is able to see versus what the human eye can. And you know what? It's hard not to love just the compact nature of this, the 4x3 screen, and just the keyboard. I don't need a trackpad, so it not being there, I miss nothing about that. The fact that your palm rest is nice and thick just really makes this the focus of the experience, and one of the reasons why I kind of fallen in love with this retro piece of kit, just because I think it got the human interface components all very well. Now, a 4-cell battery that's kind of, genuine isn't going to last forever, especially with the screen at maximum brightness. Maximum brightness and Wi-Fi, I'm probably going to get an hour of what's left in this battery. Now, brand new battery, the extended battery or the battery slice is going to give you obviously more juice, but just bear in mind that these batteries are going to be quite scarce and probably demand premiums because of how rare they are and how old these machines are. And unfortunately, the batteries is very often what will kill a laptop of this era of being ever really used in a portable scenario, just because you're constantly having to plug it in. You just don't have that disconnect. So we're back up to 1 hour and 33 minutes, which is a lot better, but still, you kind of get the gist of it all. With that being said, ladies and gentlemen, I want to thank Justin again for sending me this unit, just because it's cute, it's adorable, it's thin, it's light. It's kind of what we want a modern computer to be, but back in that time period, and the compromises that somewhat came with it because of how thin they had to make things, the low power CPU. Compromises of that era are seen throughout this machine. That still cannot defeat its charm. At any rate, ladies and gentlemen, I hope you've enjoyed taking a look at this. As you can tell, I am a huge fan. If you want to learn more about some of the things that are going on in terms of the design, I would encourage you to check out a couple of videos I'm going to leave in the description down below and a few other places. And if you enjoy this sort of content and like looking at these old laptops with me, then I would strongly encourage you to do the big four, because it does really help the channel. Please like the video, share, subscribe, and hit that notification bell, and you'll be the first to know about when I get the opportunity to take a look at retro machines like this that are sent in by people like you. Once again, thank you so much, and I will see you next time.